Today I'm going to be doing a landscape in negative painting, and I wanted to play with some colors from my palette that I really haven't used that much. This also helps me decide if I want to keep those colors on my palette. I need to see how the colors I choose work with each other. So today I chose a Greenish Yellow by Holbein, Cobalt Blue by Holbein, Quinacridone Burnt Orange by Daniel Smith, Aussie Red Gold by Daniel Smith, and Perylene Maroon by Holbein. This will stay with my painting until it is complete. While it's still a work in progress, I want to be able to know exactly what colors I've used. I've already done the first wash where I've negative painted around these shapes. I did pencil them in for you to see them, better. I use a water-soluble pencil so that at any time I can go back in and I can remove my lines, and that will come right off. I would never put them on that dark to begin with, but I'm making sure that you can see where I'm starting with this painting. Now that this is dry, my first wash that I put in will now be the colors of the second grouping of my images. I made the wash playful and fun. There's nothing serious about this painting. This is just a quick little landscape to show you how I would use my negative painting within a piece of artwork. Now I'm going to continue. I think it's easiest if I do show you some of the shapes. So this is going to be my big tree. So my big tree can come, let's say, similar to this in shape. So getting an idea that this would probably be the top of my large tree, my negative shapes are going to come into the background here. This could also be part of that tree. So I need to fill in here. So without penciling in any more shapes, I'm just going to go in and put my negative shapes right into this area. The same as we've done on my other videos. If at any time you find this confusing, watching me paint these trees, please either start at the beginning and go back to my circle video where I've done the circle shapes and overlap them, or if you're looking to understand the trees better, go back to my tree video of negative painting the images of trees. I think both of those would help you in case you're just tuning in for the first time now. So now I'm just going to put in some negative shaped trees. I'm going to change that color so I think you could see it a little better. Yes, that's a little better. I think they can come up a little higher. I can't go too dark with my values now because I need to leave room because I'm going to be adding more layers. I need to leave room to be able to go darker and darker. If I go too dark right now, it's going to be hard for me later on to be able to put in more objects. In this case, that would be trees. I'm starting the next layer, which is going to sit behind all these trees. In negative painting, we never paint over any of the images that we've previously built into the painting. So I've left this, I built this one in and this one now. This is my next layer, and now I'm going to move back. As I move back, my ground is going to come up a tiny bit, and my treetops are going to come down a tiny bit. So I'm working in a smaller area. The focus of the painting is going to be these two trees that are closest to me. I can go up and I can make my value a little bit darker as I move forward now. With this dry, I can now go in and start working in my darks. I'm going to start separating the tops of the trees now. I just want to go back to originally when I showed you my little color chart. I'd like you to see that when I said it's really important for me to see if these colors will give me my darkest dark, and you could see they did. You can see where I used this in my final layer of the negative painting. When I needed to get those real darks in, that's where they came from. They came from the Cobalt Blue and the Perylene Maroon. Now I want to be able to separate the trees. Since this tree is closest to me, it's going to be the brightest and the lightest. So I'm just going to simply negative paint around the tree to bring this and keep this forward. So remember I put that little pencil line in the beginning to show that that was going to be a tree. Now I'm going to come in and just paint a little bit behind it. And we'll start to see how that appears. I can go back to those lighter values, or I should say, I can go back to the colors that won't go too dark, that I couldn't use when I got very dark in here, but now I can go back to bringing in this pretty greenish yellow, to bring in the Aussie red gold, and it'll help me pop this out. I'm also going to pull in a little bit of my cobalt blue back in here to define the sky a little bit more. This doesn't have to be all hard edged. And here I did a lot of hard edges. Here I can really soften these edges up. See how this shape is coming out. And that's all we're doing with the negative painting, is we're just changing some of the shapes by pushing some forward, bringing some back. Fun, easy. Okay, now you can see this tree shape is forward. Even though this is one of my forward trees, it's a little bit behind the top of this tree. Soften that edge. Now I'm going to let it dry, and I'm going to start to make another tree shape. I want to separate another tree back here, or I should say another tree top back there. And I'm going to use my quinacridone burnt orange, and this will become a treetop as I come through here and negative paint. If I don't want it all too hard, I'm just going to touch a little tiny bit of water in there. Make sure there's no hard edge on that side. And you can see that has now separated this from this. I want a little more blue in that sky. Again, keeping no edges. I want to keep that pretty soft over there. I'll touch this blue sky again. I like that that's peeking there. And I'm going to separate in here a little bit more of an image. Come back in here. I want to define that a little bit more. I'm not going to do too much more to the top. I'm going to work in here a little bit, very little, because I want to get down here, complete this, and at least show you one of the ways you can use negative painting in a landscape. So now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to define a little bit. When I paint this tree, some of these branches might pop through up here. So it's easy for me at this point to negative paint around a couple of those branches. So again, I'll go back to my water-soluble pencil because I think it's easier for me to show you where my thought process is going. So for instance, the trunk of this tree is coming up here. It's nice and big. And then let's just say it's going to fork off right through here and give me a little bit of an opening. So I can come in and negative paint around that spot. Not too dark in value. but I need to add just a little bit, and I'm going to pull that away on the sides. Let's start addressing now. Since that's very wet, I can work within here. Now I'm just going to define this tree. And I'm going to do it really quick. Again, I'm still using the same colors I started my painting with. So now I can take some of that cobalt blue, and I'm going to mix it with a little bit of my quinacridone burnt orange, and I should get a really pretty gray tone out of that. That'll have some nice life in it, and I'll be able to now start painting this tree. And I just want to come in and give it a little bit of definition. This painting is not about this tree. This painting is about negative painting. So I want you to just have some fun and do whatever makes you comfortable when you would come in and start painting this tree shape. I'm sure you can see many things that you might like to do within this. And please have a go at it. Let's see what you would find interesting to do. This is just one way that I could add my negative painting into my landscape. And I'm hoping that showing you this gives you some ideas of where you might be using this yourself within your artwork. Let me know if you find this helpful. Let me know if you have any questions about negative painting. Anything else I can help you with, I'd be more than happy to. Well, thank you guys, and happy painting to you. Have yourself a great day, and please let me know how you made out trying this technique. Have a great one. Bye.